Alice is a good example of a golfer that's chosen to play into his strengths. His strength is rhythm and tempo and the ability to hit the ball exactly where he wants it to go, nice and straight. He's not going to be long, but he doesn't have to be. He can be straight, be accurate, be a good chipper, a good putter, and score really well. What he hasn't the ability to do is put a lot of torque into his hips. Some of that's because he has a very narrow golf stance. You can see how close together the feet are here. If we can get him a little wider, he could probably get a little more torque in his hips, but he's not interested in that. What he wants to be able to do is what he's going to do right here, which is hit the ball directly at the target. So I'm going to go ahead and play this swing at full speed. You see how smooth that was. Not technically perfect, doesn't have to be. The real moment of truth is as he's coming into the ball, look at the strength, the straightness of his arms. He's extending his arms completely after impact, on the way through. Look at the head, staying focused down, spine staying through, and then finally rotates it up. That's not going to be a powerful swing, but it's going to be a swing that's down the middle, chip and a putt, walk off to the next hole with a par. And it's more fun for him to play. So we're not going to do anything to get him to try to turn more other than his upper body. He's going to be a top-down swinger, not a bottom-up swinger. We can see here at the setup that this golfer's a little bit squatted rather than having his hips canted forward so that the hips are parallel with the red line, which is his swing plane. He's kind of sitting down on his heels. What that does is it's a too vertical up and down spine angle. We'd like to see his ear up on the yellow line, his spine parallel to the yellow line a little straighter. In order to do that, you got to get your butt up and out. So we'd have him move his butt up a little bit, whoops, didn't mean to do that. Kind of up this way a little bit, and try to get him moving. Let's just go ahead and play this swing in slow motion. We'll play it at 8 speed. See what's going on. He's staying on the swing plane pretty good. Now he's getting way below it. So he's even lifting up higher. So he's way below the swing plane. He's in a pretty good position there. Then comes a little bit down and through. Finishes nice. He did a pretty good job there. If you look again that's the problem right there. The takeaway, the club head needs to stay on the red line. What he's doing is he's over rotating his arms. He's moving his arms much further than he's moving his shoulders. He gets to right there and he's pretty good on playing, but he's a little flat. What we like to see is that lead arm, left arm in this case, be parallel to the red line and that right elbow be on the red line. That'll allow him to bring the club down in a more powerful position. Now he gets to a good spot here where he's moving through the shot. He hits a great shot. That's good athleticism. The problem is, as we play golf, we tend to get a little more tired. We'll tend to lose some of that athletic ability, and we need to have technique to back that up. So we'd work a little bit on his swing plane. He gets into the right position about here. If he was at that position when he started, he'd be in a good place throughout the whole swing. DB has a tendency to curve her back at setup. You can see that line there. Now, she is in yoga, so she can create really good posture. We'd like to see her do a better job of creating that posture at setup so that the hip line and the shaft line are parallel to each other, and you can see very clearly that they're not here. You have the shaft line coming up here, and the hip line's kind of going like this. They need more parallel. Then when she turns, we'd like to be able to have her shoulders turn parallel to the swing plane. Let's see what happens here. Take the club back. So she's not turning parallel to the swing plane. Look how far behind her the club is getting. The head of that club needs to stay on the red line. You can't get behind her this quickly. So she gets into a fairly good position at the top, but you can see that her shoulders aren't turned at all on the red line. Her head has stayed right where it was. She's maintained her posture really well. And then she's coming back down. She manages to get back in on the plane pretty good. But because she's all bound up, you can just see, let's clear everything out of the way. You can see that's not a very relaxed looking position. The hands are out of shape. The left elbow's bent a lot. You can't see that from this position, but you will in a second when you see it. The club coming in behind. She's pulling that left elbow up. That's why she's hitting it thin and not getting the kind of distance she'd like to have. So we're going to work on her maintaining her posture a little better. Be back to some of the basics that she was good at the end of the season last year. Al is a good example of a golfer that's choosing to play into his strengths. His strength is rhythm and tempo, and the ability to hit the ball exactly where he wants it to go, nice and straight. He's not going to be long, but he doesn't have to be. He can be straight, be accurate, be a good chipper, a good putter, and score really well. What he hasn't the ability to do is put a lot of torque into his hips. Some of that's because he has a very narrow golf stance. You can see how close together the feet are here. If we can get him a little wider, he could probably get a little more torque in his hips, but he's not interested in that. What he wants to be able to do is what he's going to do right here, which is hit the ball directly at the target. So I'm going to go ahead and play this swing at full speed. You see how smooth that was. Not technically perfect, doesn't have to be. The real moment of truth is as he's coming into the ball, look at the strength, the straightness of his arms. He's extending his arms completely after impact, on the way through. Look at the head, staying focused down, spine staying through, and then finally rotates it up. That's not going to be a powerful swing, but it's going to be a swing that's down the middle, chipping a putt, walk off to the next hole with a par. And it's more fun for him to play. So we're not going to do anything to get him to try to turn more other than his upper body. He's going to be a top-down swinger, not a bottom-up swinger. This is a very athletic golfer. His issue seems to be a lack of distance. He doesn't think he's hitting it as far as he should be able to, and he probably really isn't. And the reason that is because he's not getting a lot of action in the lower body. As he turns back on the golf swing, we'll watch this in slow motion, we'll take it back easy. He's making a fairly decent shoulder turn, but then it stops. Doesn't lift. So what's happened here is that the hands are still really, really low, and I'll show you what I mean by that. If we draw the swing plane in here, oops, that's not a swing plane, is it? There's a swing turtle. Let's put the swing plane in here. Let's try it again. Swing plane. Bring it up here. And we're going to watch it. See what he's doing there? He's staying on that line, but the reason it's not working for him is because he's not able to get any more turn. The hands need to get at least as high as the shoulder line. So if he wants power, he's got to get his hands up to there. You can see they're quite a bit under that. Never quite gets there. And then, see, that's not a finished backswing. The arm needs to be up to his shoulder height. And he comes back down, and he's over the top. See how he's out? His hands are way above the line? That's because he's lost his spine tilt. Good angle there. Now we know he can turn his shoulders, so you can see now the shoulders are parallel to the swing plane onto a nice finish, and the club again is on the swing plane, parallel to it. So I think for him to get more distance, he's going to have to do some exercises, some stretches, and learn to get that hand up where it needs to be, at least somewhere up about in here. Say that's probably, 8-9 inches he's got to move up. This golfer has what we call an overly strong right hand. The left wrist is bent. You can see the the right wrist. The left arm's in pretty good shape. He needs to rotate his right hand more over the top of the club. The fingernails should not be on top of the club. What should happen is there should be a nice straight line from his thumb up to his arm. But you can see that the thumb is moving quite a bit offline here, up this way, and it should be up to the elbow of the right arm. So if we can get him to do that, that's going to make a big difference in his swing. Mechanically, the rest of the swing is pretty good. He has a nice, strong takeaway. See, the club face is, because the grip is so strong on the right hand, the club face is dead shut here. Gets all the way to the top of his swing, the club is really shut. And he's going to come through, and we'll see if he ever gets his hands rotated. Now he's not turning. See, you can see he's moving the lead hip forward. The lead hip has to go backwards behind him. It can't go forward. You have too much of a sway. So you can see where he's get to now with his hand underneath the golf club. He's going to have a hard time getting the club back to square. Let's see where the club face is. And the ball's coming off pretty low, isn't it? Yeah, no ground under. The club's coming up Not a lot of action in his lower body. See how far the upper body's turned? The lower body hasn't turned much at all. So we need to get him to fix his grip, which is going to relax a little bit of the tension in his shoulders and hands, and then learn how to swing the downswing from the ground up. The first move on the downswing is the left hip moves a little bit towards the rear. His left back pocket should move back towards the guy in the red shirt there. And then you can start rotating the belt and turn that really hard, that rotation really hard. And then he's powering the golf club with the big muscles of his thighs, glutes, and abs. Let's just watch the swing in slow motion though, because it really, the mechanics of the swing you'll see is really good. Here it is at 8th speed. Nice low and slow takeaway, good width, good balance, a little bit of sway, not bad. Good position right there at the top, parallel. A little bit of a, yeah, there you can see where the lower body just didn't go. The upper body's working really good. It's harder and harder to learn how to use the upper body because we're just not used to doing that in real life. This swing should have been analyzed from a down the line view, because what you're going to see is a lot of tension in the backswing here. Instead of the club moving freely, it's kind of dragging it back to the inside, and she's all stiff. Now look how far behind her the arms get. Very flexible. But again, the club face is dead shut. We'd like to see the toe of the club pointing more to the ground at this point here. She unwinds nicely, see that? But now about in here, she's going to start bending the lead elbow. So that triangle that she has it set up is gone. And she's trying to lift the ball off the ground rather than hitting through it. So where she hits is kind of a weak shot. See if I can back it up just a hair. Let's see if we can get a little bit bigger view here. See, yeah, you see what's happening is that she's flipping the club. You can see the club is bending forward. So she's catching it way up on the, high on the face, and up it goes. It's a weak shot. She'd like to see more power. Part of that is because she's so far behind the ball and lifting with the hands. Notice how the hands here, the right hand is completely underneath the golf club. If you look on her backswing, they're parallel. They need to be parallel here also. They're not. That would make a big difference. She would increase her power and her accuracy.